Hola.
We're going to give some more minutes so we can start our webinar. Thank you so much, guys, for joining us. Okay, well, everybody, thank you. Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for joining us today for our very first live webinar on the event-driven architecture community. My name is Andrea, and I'm thrilled to be your host today. In this event, we will delve into the transformative impact of event-driven architecture on the future of business. We will explore how EDA fostered the democratization and system decoupling, providing a deeper understanding of its implications. Additionally, we will examine the evolving landscape of data streaming in business applications, offering insights into the potential applications of event-driven architecture for enhancing SAP systems. We have an exciting lineup of experts who will be sharing their insights. We have Gustavo Estrada, a CEO and Chief Architect Officer of Onivex. He brings over 20 years of SAP experience and 9 years of experience in Kafka and event-driven architecture solutions. He founded Onivex in 2015 with the vision of creating prepackaged business solutions integrated with SAP in real time. Today, Onivex One Connect solution is available in the SAP store and has partners as AWS and Confluent. Also joining us, we have Nikhil Kumaris. He is the Partner Solutions Engineer at Confluent. He has more than 22 years of hands-on technical engineering experience. Nikhil is a true trailblazer in the world of data-driven solutions. His passion lies on unraveling complex challenges from real-time data integration to system decoupling. Without further ado, help me welcome Nikhil Kumaris. Thank you, guys.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Let me share my screen real quick and introduce you to Confluent. Like Andrea was saying, my name is Nikhil Kumar, and I am a Partner Solutions Engineer at Confluent. Let me get into slide share mode here. And so I am based out of the New York City area, and happy to be presenting what we can bring to the table with Confluent. What we do at Confluent, we set data in motion to win in today's digital economy, right? So, and I'll talk about what that means, right? So, who is Confluent and what is Confluent? If you don't know, if you want to know more about where it started, we need to go back to the history and the rise of event streaming. And if you trace back to the rise of event streaming and real-time data, it goes all the way back to 2010 when Apache Kafka was created by the actual Confluent founders. And that was created in 2010 at LinkedIn. And it was adopted by not just LinkedIn, by Uber and the entire Silicon Valley and the West Coast in the Bay Area in California. But of course, fast forward to 2014, the same co-founders or creators of Apache Kafka actually founded Confluent. And they did that because they wanted to take the open source Apache Kafka project and make it enterprise ready, enterprise support ready, but also reliable, secure, governed, and durable and cloud native, right? So as of 2014, you can see the rapid acceleration. And fast forward to 2020 and beyond, you can see that 80% of Fortune 100 companies now trust and use Apache Kafka. And we're talking about tens of thousands of customers like using Apache Kafka and Confluent across the world, right? And across different industries for different use cases. And I'll talk about some of the use cases, but just to give you an idea, we're not just talking about small use cases or everyday use cases. Like, for example, somebody wants to do some mobile banking, right? So you deposit a check on your mobile phone, or you call an Uber on your mobile phone, or maybe you order something online for groceries. All of that is going through Confluent's data streaming platform and Kafka, right? But also some really cool use cases, right? Cutting edge use cases like scientists and astrophysicists across the world are using the Apache Kafka and project and the capabilities to globally coordinate telescopes, large telescopes across the world to study what's going on in the cosmos, right? What's going on in our universe, to figure out, oh, is there intelligent life out there or whatever? So maybe they're going to find some aliens or whatever. So my point is the sky is the limit when it comes to the use cases, right? And I'll talk a little bit more about that. So very quick, I know I said 80% of Fortune 100, but actually it's also over 70% of Fortune 500 is estimated to be using Kafka today, over 100,000 organizations or companies. And I won't go through all of the numbers here, but it is the de facto standard for event streaming, right? And much more. And we'll talk about that. Kafka, like I said, is the de facto for data in motion. This is talking about all of the different industries: financial services, insurance, manufacturing, retail, technology, telecom, etc. So this slide actually is telling you about actual use cases that were being used at. So Confluent's data streaming platform is actually being used at all of these actual use cases, right? And our customers, and I'll talk about what exactly the data streaming platform is about, but our customers actually are now believing that Confluent's data streaming platform is the strategic and most strategic part of their next generation data stack and data infrastructure for all of these use cases. So for example, in manufacturing, it could be inventory management, supply chain, healthcare could be patient health records, financial services could be fraud detection. For example, sometimes I get a notification on my cell phone saying, "Hey, do you recognize this transaction? Is it fraudulent?" All of that is happening through Kafka and Confluent's data streaming platform. Uber, of course, every time you see those little cars on your Uber app going, coming closer to your pickup location, all of that real time is happening in Confluent. And of course, across all of the industries, you're having horizontal use cases like data pipelines, customer 360, streaming ETL, like I said, security and fraud detection, and so on and so forth, right? So just wanted you to be aware of all of the places that were being used in today. So what is event streaming? Event streaming has four main requirements. And I'm going to use this slide to talk about how event streaming compares with other capabilities. And we're not saying databases are not going away or messaging systems are ETL, but we're just talking about, okay, databases are great for persistent storage as well as capable of enrichment, but they're not great at, real-time event processing and so on. Messaging system is great for that, but they're not great for enrichment and persistent storage. And the same thing for ETL platforms, right? So not great for real-time events or scalable for across all data, very good for durable and so on. And the same for data warehouse, right? So they're great with scalable for all data. But event streaming is able to do all of the four and more. And if I go to my next slide here, like I said, databases are great for transactional processing, messages are great for low latency, fire and forget use cases, and so on. But the essential platform, the data streaming platform that I'm going to talk about on my next slide is scalable messaging, real time, and also uh, hundreds of connectors, and also do stream processing in real time, right? So I'll talk about that a little bit more. So what is this data streaming platform that I keep talking about? So this slide talks about the comprehensive data streaming platform from Confluent, right? So before I even talk about that, let's talk about the problem that it solves. The problem that it solves is today data is being moved in slow batch processes, daily batch processes, weekly batch processes, and point-to-point connections and messaging systems and so on. Versus what Confluent's data streaming platform gives you is making that data available in real time across your complete organization and available where it needs to be, right? And that is solving the problem of, getting rid of that spaghetti mess of point-to-point connections and accelerating innovation. So it's a completely new paradigm of solving your data structure in real time, and it's purpose-built for the digital economy, right? And making sure that you can meet the real-time expectations for your customers. That being said, what are the capabilities of Confluent's data streaming platform? There are 5 capabilities. The first is, as you can see here, at the heart of Confluent is streaming, right? So streaming is the heart of Confluent, but streaming means that data is moving in real time across all of your systems, globally, and so on and so forth. But what Confluent has done is it has reimagined the streaming experience so that you have ability to lower the cost and the burden of managing Apache Kafka. So delivering immediate savings in terms of TCO, or total cost of ownership. So that's streaming. Second is connect. We have over 200 connectors out of the box, both sources and targets, to get your data, whether it's data sitting in your data center on premise, or it's sitting in the cloud or hybrid. We can connect to all of them, both as a source and a target. You see SAP as one of them over here, and we'll talk about that a little bit more in the session. But there's so many others, right? Process, the third pillar or capability. Data is interesting, but it becomes infinitely more interesting when you process or transform that data, enrich it, combine it with other sources of data, right? And so data streaming, the Confluence data streaming platform gives you the ability to process and enrich and combine that data in real time. And it's done at the time of the generation of the data versus actually doing it downstream somewhere, right? And Apache Flink has become the de facto standard, industry standard for stream processing in real time, and Confluence data streaming platform actually supports Apache Flink natively now. The fourth one is govern. Govern means that, okay, great, you have this data being available everywhere in real time, but there's a delicate balance of making it available to everyone in real time, anywhere. Also making sure it's compliant, it's secure, it's governed, right? So Confluent has the only stream governance package in the industry and the module, and that's out of the box. And the last but not the least is share. Once you build these very valuable data pipelines in real time and data streams, which are governed, reliable, secure, etc., you want to share it across your team, right? So it's very easy in a few clicks of the button, you're able to share that across your organization. So you go from that data mess, as you can see here, to actual data products, to instant value everywhere in real time very quickly. So that's the data streaming platform. This slide is very quick, and this talks about what we do over and above Apache Kafka, right? And you can see from this slide the depth and the breadth of capabilities that we bring to the table. And this is designed for, again, taking Apache Kafka to the next level to make it production ready, reliable, durable, scalable, secure, and so on, using enterprise capabilities like self-balancing clusters, tiered storage, and so on. And you can see all of these capabilities are added based on personas, right? So we're actually talking to the people in the field and asking them, what do you need? So they're based on, oh, what does a developer need? What does an operator need? An architect, an executive. And we see all of these. I won't go through each one of these, but you can see the rich capabilities and functionality that are provided. It is also cloud native. And so you can provision instantly in less than 2 minutes. You can provision maybe even less. The last time I provisioned an instance, it took 30 seconds, right? And you can just go to Confluent Cloud and you're up and running in 30 seconds. Instant elastic scalability. So you can expand and shrink your clusters, self-balancing clusters, infinite storage. So if you want to use object stores like S3 or Azure Data Lake or whatever it is, you can do that. Also high availability. So 9999. So 49 SLAs, right? So we make sure that it is production ready. across multiple regions and across multiple AZs. And then last but not the least, it's available everywhere. So wherever your data is, we can be there across, maybe a fully managed cloud service, AWS, Azure, GCP, but maybe you'll have your own data center, right? So VMs, bare metal, and so on and so forth, or a hybrid solution. You could have on-prem, or you could have a cloud and both. So we can be there. Basically, we have the most committers to the Apache Kafka project. So we have committer-driven expertise. We know exactly how the platform works. And we have enterprise support. We have over 1 million hours in experience supporting Apache Kafka, PS teams, training, as well as a rich set of partners, right? So we have 2 products on-premise, Confluent Cloud, which is in the cloud, but on-premise Confluent Platform, like I said. So, and we can be hybrid. So we have a way to link both of them, which is what we call cluster linking, and available everywhere. So it's a hybrid solution. And we are the only hybrid Kafka solution out there, right? So you can have a persistent bridge between on-prem and the cloud and adopt cloud at your own pace, and we'll support you in that journey, right? I want to end by talking about 1 or 2 use cases. Walmart, which is a long-standing customer of Confluent, and 90% of people live within 10 miles of a Walmart store. I don't know in the US. I don't know if you knew that, but that's the beauty of it. But that being said, Walmart has changed the customer experience completely, because they're going from not only going in store, but the mobile app to ordering online on their laptops, either pick up in the store or deliver at home, and so on and so forth, right? So it's an omni-channel, right, across all of the capabilities in terms of customer experience. And as you can see here, they've adopted Confluent's data streaming platform in real time to do all of that. And you can see the quote from the VP of Walmart Cloud right here, right? Revenue company, which is about 500 billion, is worth millions of dollars every second, right? So it's all real time. So it's a very cool use case. And this is actually what a lot of your everyday customers are using. Second and last slide is BMW, which is manufacturing. And the proof point is right in the slide here. You can see there are 30 plus production facilities worldwide. And what they wanted to do is have real-time access to that actual, real-time, capabilities in terms of what's happening on the ground at those facilities, right? And it's basically making sure that they have access at the field to have zero downtime and using our IoT capabilities. So actually, when they put in a certain part on the manufacturing side, you'll see that capability in IoT reflected in real-time capabilities of Confluent, and you can see full business integration with SAP solutions, right? And we'll talk about a little bit more about SAP when Gustavo was talking about it. But with that said, I don't know, this is probably a good segue to hand it off to Gustavo and talk about some of the cool things we're doing around SAP and manufacturing and in general event-driven architecture. So
Absolutely. All right. Thank you, Nikhil. And what a fantastic, presentation. I saw that the Walmart had that it's the backbone. They're using Confluent as a backbone for the integration. So I'm gonna share on my side. If you could please stop sharing. Give me one quick second. Thank you. Here we go. So first, again, thanks everybody for joining us today. Please feel free to drop a question in the Q&A section here. This is your time, guys. So we'd love to hear some of your questions here in this journey to pretty much, modernize a lot of the integrations to go from request response to event-driven architecture. And we understand that this is a massive work, and this, the purpose for us to create a community and to go with the event-driven architecture community is precisely to pretty much make this as a community where we all partner together in making this possible. So in the old world, we have APIs, and the APIs were there because it was the best way that at a time resolve the problem of system isolation and to having data in silos. But it created a kind of a spider web when it comes to, let's say, for instance, having an ERP to integrate with a e-commerce, with a CRM, with a data warehouse, with a machine learning, and you have to pretty much create that integration every time that you wanted to connect those two systems, EDI, so on and so forth, right? So in this new way, we want to have a system that produces data, and it's pretty much stored. And now, getting a little bit more into the details, it's going to be stored into a topic, and that topic is going to have an schema registry that is going to describe the data. So the data is going to be persistent, and the communication is going to be asynchronous, yet it's going to be real time. So we have, let's say, for instance, a sales order, and that sales order needs to be communicated to many different systems on the other side, the CRM again, and e-commerce, B2B, etc. So it's pretty much the same sales order. It's just that needs to travel to different systems, and those systems are going to become consumers. So basically now the ERP is going to produce a document that is going to be stored, and the ERP is going to say, my job is done. And then the other systems are going to consume that data. So this is pretty much what is happening here. The first term is system decoupling. Now, with this system decoupling, basically, we don't need to wait until the other system responds, right? I mean, the response of the other system. And because we have here basically a way to persist the data in topics with an schema registry, Confluent has something that is called KSQL. So when you execute a SQL command, the execution is just going to be for that one time that you executed the command. With KSQL, basically that is a query is going to be executed all the time. So it's going to be a streaming query, listening and filtering the data to pretty much accomplish that the result of the query and place the data potentially in a different query. So with Confluent, they have the Stream Designer, which is basically allows you to have a graphical interface to start dragging and dropping those topics and start making joints, with the Stream Designer in the way of a KSQL. So this is a lot better because let's say that your e-commerce, you're going to do maintenance on your e-commerce system. So your e-commerce system is going to be down for a little while. So you're going to have, let's say, 4-6 hours windows to do some maintenance on your e-commerce, and therefore it's not going to receive any messages. When it comes back to life, that data is going to be waiting for the e-commerce to be reprocessed. So you're not going to lose any data, even if it goes down for hours or days. So you can give maintenance upgrades, or even if it's a failure, that you're not going to miss any data because it's going to be waiting in this streaming engine that is Kafka, that is Confluent. And from here, you can pretty much pick it up and send it again in the right order, when and when the consumer stopped to receive those data. So we have the concept of users and subscribers or consumers. So this is a new way, and just imagine having to send the data just once and having n numbers of subscribers to make use of, pretty much the data that they want to subscribe. So the second term that is bringing this, the second benefit, a clear second benefit, is to have data democratization. And we're going to talk a little bit more about what this entails in an organization. But because it's the first session of event driven, we need to give some context. Pretty much, Nikhil, I love when you show the journey of Kafka and Confluent. So here, guys, in the context of SAP, we need to, realize that the evolution of data pretty much goes in line with the internet adoption and the hardware evolution. So SAP started in 1972. And back then, pretty much, PCs were not ready for a prime time. So SAP was running in mainframes. And the hardware, pretty much, we were struggling to speak in terms of kilobytes and megabytes at the most. So data was very limited. And when SAP released VW, that was in 1988, we didn't have the 1 terabyte hard drives. So just imagine, if you wanted to have 1 or 2 terabytes, you needed to have a SAN full of these that were connected in an array to store that data. And the CPUs were not very powerful. So what that means is that you first needed to do some extractors, create extractors inside your ERP to consolidate the data and say, okay, the sales for today were this much. The sales for the week were this much. So pretty much we were consolidating the data before sending it to a VW. And the reason was that we didn't have enough hardware power for us to store raw data. But today, if we want to use a terabyte of information, if we want to have a terabyte hard drive, we can go to Walmart and get it for a couple $100. So it's a different game. Then what happened with the internet adoption? Pretty much, if we wanted to listen to a song in the early 2000s, you guys remember, Napsters and all of these software for us to pretty much leave the computer, turn it on, and wait for the next day to get our song so that we can listen to it. And that was if we get lucky. It was probably, we needed to wait probably a couple of days for us to listen to a song. And that's pretty much, today, it's a totally different reality, right? We're living in a streaming world where we're not just seeing streaming, we're seeing streaming in HD. So the last 5 years, guys, have pretty much created an entire revolution of enabling technology to operate in a different way, including systems that can be elastic, that can shrink, but also get bigger. That is pretty much the Kubernetes that was created by Google back in 2015, and that now it's available on every single cloud. So with this, what is happening in terms of business? What is the impact of this technology revolution? The impact is that in the lifespan of the Fortune 500s is getting shorter and shorter. Why? Because there are companies that are not adapting fast enough to the user experiences, and now we're getting serious, right? I mean, at some point, yes, we need to stay at the forefront of technology, but it's not because we want to stay in these new technologies because we want to learn, because we love it, because we're engineers, but it's because it's critical for a business to provide those experiences to the community, not just to their employees, but also to their customers and to the vendors, to operate and stay there, with this and win in this digital economy. We're living in a digital economy. So coming back to how does this translate in a business scenario? In a business scenario, we have pretty much two sides of the equation: the operational side and the analytical side. On the operational side, we have, the systems that are going to be representing the digital reality of the real world. So basically, we have an ERP, and this is going to contain pretty much, this is going to be the heart of the business data processes. So if a sale happened on an e-commerce, that that cell needs to be represented in the ERP as well. So the ERP, it's at the core of the business processes and therefore the business data. And we need to have this operational stack all integrated in real time to operate in an efficient way to the different users of each of these other systems. For instance, an MES for the manufacturing process, EWM for warehouse management, those kind of things, CRM, etc. So this operational stack needs to be integrated. And now we can start seeing the picture that moving away from API-driven architecture to an event-driven architecture is going to be a lot of work. It's going to be a lot of work. We have lived that reality for the last 15, 20 years. And now we need to come up with a solution to move our integrations to be part of an event-driven architecture. So how in Onivex we are helping to that journey to move away from an API-driven architecture to an event-driven architecture? We started looking at the challenge from a business point of view. So we started in the ERP. Inside the ERP, we have different business processes: procure to pay, plan to produce, order to cash. And then from these, high-level business processes, we started identifying the different entities, the different domains. So we have two types of data: the transactional data and the master data. In some transactional data, we have, let's say, for instance, contracts, quotations, sales orders, invoices, etc. Master data, customers, materials. So from these, now we say, okay, let's start, creating these connections to this streaming central component that is Kafka. But then we saw a challenge, when the companies were trying to adopt the event-driven architecture, we saw a challenge. And the challenge was that the business was talking in one language, and the technical team was talking in a different language. And we know this on the SAP world is very, very clear. The customer on the SAP technical side is called Kunun. And who knows that, if you're not an SAP expert, you don't know what Kunun means. Same goes, let's say, for plant. So for plant, and the SAP technical name is works. But this is hard for, for a business user to understand those technical terms. So something that we did is and it's part of, the event-driven architecture, to have a ubiquitous language. With a ubiquitous language, you could pretty much, refer to the term and hopefully use it across your different to your entire organization. If you're gonna call a plant, then the developer needs to know that it's a plant, but also the functional consultant and also the business consultant. But if you're not calling it plant, if you're calling it distribution center, then that should be the term that needs to be referred across, the functional specification, the stories, the different mechanisms that we need to start building software and integrations. So with this in mind, we pretty much, started to first do that mapping. Let's say, for instance, a sales order. A sales order inside SAP has about 8 different tables. So we started putting those tables together with the right, relationships between each of those tables. And also we started to review which were those fields that were, more commonly used, because SAP tables have about 200 to 300 fields per table because it's used across many different industries. So we came down to say, okay, per table, we usually need these fields, 40 to 60 fields that are the more commonly used. If you want to use more, you can easily add it in the One Connect configuration. If you're using custom fields, custom tables, you're covered in a blink of an eye. But then equally important of having the prepackaged SAP operational data model, and you can, basically what we did is that we started reading the data elements in SAP, and those data elements have a business-friendly description. And if you want inside One Connect to change the name of the data element for your specific business term, you can do that so that you can keep that ubiquitous name across the organization, and you can refer to the name in the same term from your business users to your SAP functional consultants to your SAP technical consultants. And now, with this, it's going to be a lot easier just to say, okay, I want to send a sales order. Click, boom, and now you have it integrated with what we are aiming for. So what are we aiming for? Data democratization for the intelligent enterprise. So there is a key concept here that was first created by it's pretty much described by Gartner in this way. So it's a data fabric. And Gartner says that a data fabric is the backbone for knowledge discovery and decision making. This is not just for your employees. This pretty much applies to even your customers. And that is what the Walmart was describing in the use case that Nikhil was presenting in his slide. So this data fabric needs to be enterprise-wide, across application, not constrained by a single platform. So pretty much that translates into liberate your data, make it free and accessible for everybody, both for your operational stack and for your analytical stack. So that component, this data fabric, is the one that is going to receive the events and is going to distribute those events to be used pretty much if a sales order, is created, you want to distribute that sales order potentially to a CRM, but also potentially to a system that you're using for lakehouse, data warehouse, machine learning, etc. So basically, in the organization, we have different types of users that have different types of needs in terms of data. For instance, an executive needs to see the big picture to create the strategies. The manager needs to set up tactical objectives, and the operational staff needs to see the real-time data to take decisions of a situation that is living in the here and now. So it's a tough journey. And what we are doing as part of Onivex is that we're creating prepackaged business solutions. Not just, to say, hey, we're providing a connector, and then leave you to pretty much, yourself to pretty much imagine how you will need to link the data and then process it yourself and in a way that it can be ingested in Confluent. No, we're trying to provide that solution that is going to help you pretty fast to get a business solution. And because of that, we're partnering with a lot of organizations like Databricks, like Snowflake, like Salesforce, for us to provide end-to-end business solutions, or at least to provide those prepackaged solutions that are going to allow you to get to the final result very fast. Because we know that every company has their own flavor, their own customizations, but at least we're providing that good amount of work so that you can get there pretty fast. So we're partnering with the best in breed to provide prepackaged integrations with Salesforce, with Databricks, with ClickHouse, and you can see the data in Power BI and many different other sources. So we have many different use cases, but I'm going to talk about one that is the analytical use case. In this analytical use case, we know that a lot of companies already have business intelligence, but now that business intelligence serves for the executive managers, but we need to give this information as well for the frontline workers. And they need to take decisions for the here and now. So business intelligence, we have some prepackaged dashboards for you to see, let's say, to be used by the chief commercial officers and understand what is the, sales situation compared to other years. But then equally important is the operational intelligence, because this is going to improve your operational efficiency and reduce cost, because now you're going to empower your following workers to take the right decisions. For instance, the inventory movements. The inventory is moving pretty much by the second. Why? Because in an organization, you have inventory moving from production to procurement to sales to different warehouse locations. So we have prepackaged dashboards that we're gonna show in a minute to pretty much show you how to make use of this data in motion, event-driven architecture, and start getting some business results. So this one connect that we're gonna see in a minute has two components. One that is in the SAP side, and the other one that runs based on Kubernetes in any cloud. For instance, Kubernetes in the SAP cloud that is called BTP. The Kubernetes is called Kima in the SAP BTP cloud. For AWS, Azure, and GCP, it has other different names, but it's the same Kubernetes. So our solution is getting the data, but it's also getting the metadata. And with the metadata, we're able to convert the SAP data types into Avro types and create these schema registries on the fly and create topics on the fly. So with this, you can basically, boom, in a minute, start using this Kafka to send, let's say, for instance, the data to an e-commerce, a CRM, a lakehouse, and have many subscribers to the same topics. But you can also use the other 200 plus Confluent connectors that are pre-packaged in there, so that you can pretty much, go as fast as you want with this integration. And it's gonna be ready for you to use the KSQL and Stream Designer. So we're gonna show a demo that is going to send data from SAP to OneConnect, and we're gonna see it in dashboards. We're agnostic of dashboards, but in this instance, we're gonna pretty much, see it in Power BI and Grafana. So I'm gonna pass it to Andrea, that is gonna help us with this demo today. Thank you.
Thank you, Gustavo. Okay, perfect, guys. So let me see. Let me share my screen. Excellent. So you can see my screen now, right? Good.
Yes.
Okay, so as Gustavo mentioned, today we're going to see two different exercises. For both of them, we're using SAP. The SAP that I'm showing here is an S/4HANA. However, our solution works with ECC and S/4HANA. We're going to send data from SAP. It's going to flow through our OneConnect cloud. Here, the requests are going to start going up, and then it's going to flow through Confluent. Here's our Confluent. And in this specific case, we're going to use ClickHouse as our database. This is the screen for ClickHouse. And we're going to send data to two different places. For our first exercise, we're going to use Power BI. This is a dashboard that, as you can see here, is missing data from 2020. So I'm going to send data with our program in SAP to Power BI. Okay, so let's start. And I'm just going to go ahead and open our program, our OneConnect solution. And we have this program that we run with the different business processes. So in this specific case, because I'm going to send the invoices for 2020, I'm selecting order to cash. It's a transactional data, so I'm just going ahead and select transactional data, sales invoice, and filtering for the dates that I want to send. So it's sending data from January 1st to December 31. We're also choosing to send a business-friendly term instead of the SAP tables here in field label. So I'm just going to go ahead and execute this. This can be executed in the background as well. So, okay, so it's sending the data right now. And what I'm going to do is, once I receive this, we're just going to refresh our Power BI. Okay, perfect. We just send the information. I'm going to go ahead. I will refresh Power BI. And here we have the data for 2020. So in order to make this a little bit more transparent, I love to show how we can see this also in the database. So I'm running a query for 2020 where we can see all of the tables. And instead of seeing the SAP name tables, as I mentioned before, we can see here the business friendly name, let's say the sales organization, the monthly sales, etc. So it's easier to allocate the information here. So let's go ahead with the second exercise. And for this, we're using Grafana. Grafana is a visualization tool, just like Power BI. The main difference is that this tool doesn't need to refresh. So because we want to send real-time data, we want just to show it, as simple as possible for you guys, because we know that we don't always have the opportunity to refresh in a specific scenarios. So let's go ahead and here in SAP, I will create a sales order. And this sales order is going to be reflected in this dashboard that is for inventory. And let's go ahead and do business as usual and create this sales order. Okay. Let's just make a test. And let's go crazy and go for 3,000 pieces. And perfect. Let's just save this. So here the important part is that we need to see the number that I just created. The name of the order that I created, the number of the order I just created is 5514. And as we can see here, it was automatically refreshed. And here we have basically the order that we just sent, 55114. And to make this a little bit more interesting, I want to show how this looks in Confluent. Because as Gustavo mentioned, one of the value propositions that we have here is that we not only send the data, but we send all of the operational data model with the schema registry. So let's go ahead and go through the sales header. Here it is. And let's go to the last order that we just sent. And here we can see, once again, the order was 5514. And here it is. It's the order 5514. And we can see it's a schema. It has the keys as well. So let's.
Excellent.
Any of you have any questions? Please remember that we have the Q&A box just to if you have any question in mind.
Yes. All right. So I'm gonna share here again. All right. Can you guys see my screen?
Yes.
Excellent. So this exercise that Andrea just did is basically just a small proof of what we can achieve. And we have this solution already prepackaged. So if you have, a scenario similar like this one, we can do proof of concepts in as little as 10 working hours. So it's very simple for you to get, their data in motion from your ERP to Confluent and start the journey of event-driven architecture. So basically, you can see it in action first in our demo systems. You can give it a try in your own instances, and if you like it, you can make it yours. So we're ready for you to start streaming today, and this can be very, very fast, so you can start the transformation journey to go from API-driven architectures to event-driven architectures. So I'm gonna make a pause, and if you have any questions, please let us know. Okay, I don't see any questions here, so I think we're good. Oh, here I see one.
We have a couple of Here, yes.
Okay. So basically, in the organizations, we have both the business intelligence and the operational intelligence. So operational intelligence is pretty much, we have pretty dashboards for the executives and managers, but we're not giving these dashboards to the frontline workers. And it's easier to make a decision from a dashboard rather than seeing a list, for instance. So if your workers can make better decisions, informed decisions of an event that they are living right now, they can basically, pretty much, make the operation more efficient, and because of that, you can save money and be more, efficient in that sense. Yes, for custom tables, it works. So if you have a custom table, or in S/4HANA, if you have a custom CDS view, you can pretty much, integrate this solution to get those tables in motion and send them, to Kafka to be consumed by any other system. So for how do we know that there is no data lost? That is one of the things in with the One Connect, we have logs and alerts. We're monitoring the solution here. So if there is an error because of whatever technical reason, basically we can send alerts and we're not missing the data. The data is going to be stored in a log, basically in a queue, in a dead queue topic to be reprocessed later on. We also have an observability module where we can see, how is the CPU process linked to the Kubernetes clusters. It has a heavy architecture behind it in terms of observability, in terms of making sure that it's an elastic architecture as well, is running on Kubernetes to make sure that it's a stable solution. The SLA for us is 99.9 as well. So we assure that the data is going to be up and running for that SLA. And because it's running on because it's running on Kubernetes, pretty much you can run these on your cloud. So we have two different models. One is if you want to host the solution, if you want us to host the solution, we can provide the solution as a SaaS, as a solution, as a software as a service, or you can host it yourself. So you can host it in your own AWS environment, in your own Azure, GCP, or VTP. That's not a problem. So business scenarios for operational intelligence, it can be, pretty much inventory, it can be production, it can be, pretty much you name it, finance, warehouse management. So there are many different use cases because basically SAP is at the heart of your business processes, and we have all of the data already mapped and ready to be consumed and processed in Kafka for many different use cases. All right, I think we have time for one more. Yes, is it possible to send the data as batch? Yes, so basically One Connect, the component that runs on the ECC side, we can program these batches, but also the events. The way that the events was processed in real time, basically SAP has something that is called the output messages. So you can use that output message, let's say, to print an invoice or to send an email after creating a sales order. So the same standard output message that SAP has, we're using that event to call the One Connect program that Andrea run, by hand. And that is basically getting two types of information, two pieces of information. The document type, let's say, for instance, order, sales order, and the document ID, sales order 123. So with that, basically, it's a micro event that it doesn't have a significant impact on the performance of your ERP. You need to get the data out in some way, right? So when you send in batch, which is okay, the thing is that the batch is going to consume more processes because it's going to be a bulk of data being moved, at once to another system. And with the event is going to be a micro event that is just pretty much take milliseconds. And we can basically on the cloud side of OneConnect, we have this dashboard that is actually going to tell us how many milliseconds took for that transaction to be processed from beginning to end. So basically, these dashboards can also, tell us how many topics we sent, and which one has have an error. And here is where we're parsing all the data and sending email notifications in case that there was an error for one of the transmissions. But yeah, it can be executed in background to send historical data, for instance. If you have, you want to send data from prior years, you can do that if you want to.
I think we don't have any more questions for today. Thank you, everybody. Let me just, okay. Thank you, everybody, for your time. We really appreciate joining us in our first event-driven architecture event for the community. If you have any question after this meeting, please, you can reach us, and we would love to continue this conversation.
Absolutely. Thank you, everybody. Have an awesome rest of the day.